And welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben, and this is my review for Injustice, the animated movie based on the video game series. Let's get into it. This is non-spoilers, although if you've played the games, you kind of know what's going to happen, or if you've read the graphic novels, you kind of get where this film is going. Nevertheless, I'm going to skip over any major big deaths or anything like that, so don't worry. I'm just going to talk about how great this film is, or not so great. Let's get into it. On an alternate Earth, the Joker tricks Superman into killing Lois Lane, which causes a rampage in the hero. Superman decides to take control of Earth. Batman and his allies will have to attempt to stop him. So like I said, if you've played the games or read the graphic novels, you kind of know where this is going. But if you're coming to this afresh, you've enjoyed the DC animated movies, and for the most part, I think they're really great. I like the live action films, but where DC for me shines is in their animated movies. So I was very excited to see what they would do with that kind of game story. I was hoping that they would kind of do their own thing, and I have to say there were a few surprises. Even though I played both games and the DLCs, I haven't read the graphic novels, but a friend of mine has read it, and he's very excited about what they do with it. He keeps asking me questions like, is this in it? Are they in it? And I have to say there were a few surprise characters that I wasn't expecting to see in it. There was some laughs, like some levity, some Joker moments from characters that you expect to have some levity to lighten the dark story. And when I say it's dark, it is very dark. It's the age-old question about the Batman and Superman fight, who's going to win. But what happens if you take away everything that makes Superman good? And so we see that if you take away the love of his life, Metropolis, Lois Lane, an unborn baby, all of that, and then you see what happens. It is an alternate Earth, and they do talk about the multiverse somewhat, so it gives you an idea of where this sits in. And there are established characters that we are used to seeing from previous characters that we know and love, and I presume that you have your favorites, but they've established them so well that now when we see characters fighting against each other that don't normally butt heads in a way that is having them kill each other rather than just your kind of everyday fight, because we've seen them fight multiple times, but in this is like the darker storyline, the Injustice storyline, we get to see them, what would happen if they actually kill each other. And so it's quite disturbing to watch in places, especially when it's an age-restricted film. So I don't know if it's hard R, but it's close to that, where you're seeing the visceral action. It's not nearly as bloody or gory as I was expecting. In fact, the more I watched it, I was like, yeah, this is very dark, but if you've played the games, you know how dark it gets. If you read the graphic novels, you know how dark it gets. I think it feels like they've taken some of the substance that made those games great, some of the storyline that makes it really intriguing to watch, to see who will out, whose choices are right, and they kind of shy away from it. For the most part, the voice work I thought was excellent. The Joker I was a little bit not sure about. Some of the facial designs are different to what I was expecting with the animation. I think that's because it's a different Earth. Also, some of the consequences, I was like, would that actually happen? It's Injustice, so it's slightly different. The animation itself does take a while to get used to. Right at the beginning, it feels like they're missing frames. There's some juddery robotic movement, almost. It feels like there's not, like you need to put a double amount of frames in there. And that doesn't happen throughout the film. It felt off. You kind of know who is the bad guy. You understand that Superman's gone off the dark end, but you understand why. And so when he finally does those things with the arguments you've done, if you're a geek and you've had these arguments like, yes, but surely the Joker should have been killed years ago, because look at all the innocents he's killed. If Batman had just taken him out, it's those arguments earlier, then all those people would have been survived. But then once you cross that line, can you come back from that? When do you become the dictator? So it throws up all these questions, which is a fun premise to have fun in oh my gosh, this is really almost like heart sore. Why are you doing this to my favorite characters? The score, it didn't wow me going, oh, this is an amazing score, but it was understated enough to help the story and the movement go on. If you're coming from this completely fresh, and this is the first time you're watching this storyline, and you haven't played the games, you haven't read the graphic novels, I think you'll find that this may be entertaining for you. You may find the story quite emotionally engaging in parts. However, if you come from I've read the graphic novels and I played the games, I think you're probably going to find this film quite flat. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's like they've squished the entire storyline into one film, where it needed to be a series or two films at least. When you do get to the fight scenes, The costumes feel somewhat off. You know it's a different Earth, so it lends itself to your thinking of, okay, this is different, so I'm going to need to allow the space to grow. But everything feels kind of rushed. There are moments and characters that are taken out that they don't really give any injustice to. It's rather an injustice. There are characters you expect to see that aren't in here, and then there are characters that are in here that they give more time to than was needed. There are moments that are the fight just gets going and ends, and I really feel like fans that are massively into this storyline are going to be massively disappointed. So I think if you're coming from one side of this, you may give this a 3.5 Nicolas Cages out of 5. You're like, oh, I've never read the comics, never played the games. I found this quite enjoyable, and I'll understand that. But if you're coming from the other side, I wouldn't be surprised if you rated this their lowest animated movie. Let me know in the comments below. List your top 3 favorite DC films. Will this make it? Do you like the games? Let me know what your thoughts are once you see it. Live long and Tuesday.